Well, hey, it's Pastor Seth here with you again, and thanks so much for being with me. I pray that this encourages you to pick up your Bible, read it for yourself, and there meet the God who is sovereign. That's what I'm talking about, God's sovereignty. God's sovereignty means there is nothing outside of his control in the whole universe. He created it. We saw in Genesis 1:1, R.C. Sproul, a theologian, writer, has said that if God is not sovereign, if he's not in control, if he's not sovereign over everything, then he is not God. There's a little part of the universe that he is not in control over, then he is not who he claims to be. And I just want to walk us through the Bible, because no matter where we open up the Bible, we see little glimpses of ways that God was sovereign in his dealings with people. We saw that he created the whole universe in Genesis 1:1. We saw yesterday that he understood the thoughts and intentions of every human heart and their wickedness, and he was able to rightfully and justly send his judgment upon them. Ultimately, in the flood, we see in Genesis 11:6-8, it's this interesting story, the Tower of Babel. We see God's sovereignty in Genesis 11:6. It says, "And the Lord said, Behold, they are one people." He sees all the people. He understands their full situation. And he says, "And they all have one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do." That's build this huge tower, try to make it to the heavens. "And nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them." So listen to what he does. "Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech." And then just a simple statement. "So the Lord dispersed them from there over the face of all the earth. And they left off building the city." See, here's another example of God's sovereignty. It's another example of him being able to rightly discern the motives and hearts of people and to pass judgment on them, to act appropriately. Here he doesn't condemn them as he did in the flood, but instead he says, hey, this is enough. We're going to disperse them. That was the purpose. And he literally goes in and changes their understanding of language so that they will quit clumping up and move throughout the earth to fill the earth and subdue it like he had originally said. See, God was sovereign. We see in the Tower of Babel his sovereignty, his ability to, and his authority over everything. In the words of the New City Catechism, nothing happens except through him and by his will. There's not a place in creation where he cannot reach and do as he desires. Sometimes he allows things to happen. Sometimes I think we have to affirm that he sees something, he understands something is happening, and he allows it to happen. We have to trust his goodness at that point, that he allows those things to happen, not because he's mean or bad, but he is working out some great purpose that we can't wrap our minds around. And there's instances like that, and that's difficult. But what we see over and over and over again, we'll look at some more next week, is that our God, he is sovereign. He is in control. There's not a portion of creation that he doesn't exert control over. He began everything. He judged everyone in the flood. He sent the rain. He confused the languages. This is the God we worship and trust, even in the midst of this contentious election cycle. Our God is sovereign.